thank you, everyone. Paul, you have a very large group today. You're a very popular man, so we're excited about that. I think we have 45 people joining us today.
Oh, that's terrific.
And I actually, I could have allowed more, but, the purpose is we're trying to keep this fairly intimate so everybody gets their questions answered and so on. So really grateful that everybody's here today. And I just want to let everybody know what the format is going to be so that they understand. Of course, I'm going to be asking you a bunch of questions. We want to know all about how you've been able to build your brand and stay so true to it, where you have an amazing brand. And I know that's a topic that designers really struggle with. We're going to be talking about that. And then at the end, we're going to be answering any questions that people have. So certainly if anyone wants to type in a message in the chat section while we're going, great. But if you have a question, it would be best if you put it in the Q&A, and then Paul and I can answer them afterwards. So again, everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm really, really excited to be talking with Paul Lavoie. Paul Lavoie has a really successful interior design firm in Calgary. And he's been in the business for over 30 years, which is hard to believe. And he's had a very successful brand right almost from the beginning, and then just built a wonderful brand and really stuck to it throughout that entire time. Paul has been featured in Architectural Digest, House and Home, and Luxe Magazine, to name a few. He is internationally renowned and has won several awards. And we're just so excited to have you here. So welcome. Thanks, Paul.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, you and I spoke a little bit before about, what it takes to manage a brand. And, I thought before we got into that, we could get in, just so that people could get to know you a little bit, maybe give us a little bit of your history.
Oh, of course. I've basically been in the interior design industry for over 30 years now. I interned with someone for about 12 years before I kind of jumped on my own. Paul Lavoie Interior Design has been alive and kicking for over 20 years now. So that's fantastic. We have been lucky to have clients all over the world, from California to China. We have managed to build a brand that I think is recognizable, not only where we live, but where our clients live. We've been lucky enough to have clients that have provided us with projects that have really made us excel at what we do. So that part of it is amazing. We always say around here, though, that our luck wears overalls, and I think our overalls, definitely we work really hard at being the best at who we can be, and really promoting the firm that we are.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, I of course am a big fan, and I've followed your work for some time now. And I know that you just built a new office recently.
We did.
I'm actually going to share my screen, and maybe you could speak to that just a little bit.
Sure.
Because I want everybody to see how beautiful this is.
And of course, we're so proud of it too. It took us almost a year to kind of get the whole thing up and running. It was facilitated by essentially our old office had become too small, and we were working all over one another. So this new office is really kind of a labor of love, of really creating things that were special to us in a way that would make our clients feel comfortable and really reinforce our brand. The picture we're looking at right now is kind of the central hallway when you come in. The space that we bought is essentially an industrial area, and it was completely untouched. So we're looking at a space that we were allowed to fill in any way we wanted to. So as a designer, that was really exciting to kind of provide our clients with the level of design that we get to give them and we don't usually get to give ourselves. So these spaces we're looking at are entries. So this is kind of the greeting you get when you kind of come into our office. The door, if you can see the black and white door in the background, it was inspired by a trip to Paris at Dior. And we also found the doors on sale, which was awesome. I know the doors were like a giveaway, but we kind of tweaked them. We try to create a kind of mixture between something kind of traditional and something kind of modern, because our brand services both people. This is a conference room that we're looking at the front of our space, and I named this one after my dad. His name was Royal. Each one of our rooms, that's so cool, right, to be able to do that. Each one of our rooms has a different kind of significance, and it has a different name. So when we book you, we say we're booking you in Royal. This one was named after my mom, Josephine, and it's very soft, and all the walls are lined in a sheer fabric. So we can have up to 4 meetings in this space going at once, which is.
Where you're sitting in now?
No. I'm sitting in what we call conference room Edward, which we named after my dog. It's fun, right? You might as well have a little bit of fun at it. And I know our clients love it. Like, oh, why did you name the room Edward? And you can kind of tell them all about it. This is what we call our design lab. So this seats 10 of us or more. We kind of made the provision of growing a bit. So this is where we kind of like the design factory. This is where we all have the inner space to really talk amongst ourselves, and we work in an open area, which is, I think, very conducive to all of that. This is kind of a corner of our sample library. A very clean picture, I will say that. Usually it looks like a hurricane runs through there, but yeah, no, this room is in the middle of the conference rooms, and we can kind of connect to this fabric room because it is centralized. So essentially, if you're in a meeting in one of these other conference rooms we have, there's an entry for you to get in there and maybe grab a quick fabric if you want to do something for your client.
Beautiful. Oh,
this is a space we created. We created a second floor in this industrial space. So the upstairs is kind of a living example of the furniture we create. So what I've tried to do is do localized furniture. So it was either made in Calgary or made in Canada. So there's lots of value there for people as far as cost. And we have different room settings. So this is one showing kind of a transitional room setting where we could do something that has some antiques in it, and something that has some custom-made furniture, and some kind of like ready-made things, so that a client could get inspired by what we do. So we have 3 or 4 of these room settings that might even encourage you along to say, oh, I like this one, I like this one. I'm much more kind of the modern room than I am the traditional room. And I think people get behind their cause a little bit there too. People get really excited about the fact that we're actually making this locally, or we're making this in Canada. It's been very hard to kind of maintain that too, to like pick fabrics and to pick furniture that we could kind of have in a way that we're not always outsourcing to another country.
And really, I think that, I mean, although you've kind of promoted the whole local thing for some time now, how poignant that will be, or that is now, kind of coming, if we think about the other side of COVID, and, you know, really needing to support local manufacturers and businesses and so on. So how wonderful is that?
So important. Yeah. And, you know, all these people that we're also lucky to work with are waiting for us. They, you know, they all want to get back to work, and they really want to get back to their jobs. So we've been really trying hard to maintain a relationship with them as much as we can.
Right. Now, you know, Paul, I know that, you know, when you first began as a designer, you know, you are your brand. And that's fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but certainly easier to manage when it's just one person. But you have an office of many.
Yes.
How were you able to scale and yet stay so true to your brand?
That is a really good question. I think, as a person who owns an interior design company, not only do you execute interior design, but you also have people that you work with. So people have lives, and people have children, and people have holidays, and we have a brand. So it's a really difficult challenge making sure that everybody here is happy. We try to maintain a real like an open family atmosphere so that we can always have an open dialogue about what's going on in people's lives. But we've also really worked hard at separating it so that in a meeting or in client communications, we really try to keep our personal lives out of it so that we are really reinforcing the brand. I always say to the people who work here, if you paid $200 for a haircut, you would expect a pretty darn good haircut. And for the hour or the time you're with us, I think what it amounts to is the experience. So I just want to make sure that our experience, your experience when you come to visit us, is a good experience.
Right.
So you're really buying our brand, and you're not necessarily buying the brand of everybody in the back with their personal lives or things that are happening to them. We really try and focus on the fact that you are here and we want to make something amazing for you. This is your experience coming to Paul Lavoie. This isn't experience of, oh, I just got my hair cut or my car is broken. We really try and focus on a meeting with a client being something that is truly about them.
Now, I know that you are meticulous about detail, and you can tell that certainly from your beautiful offices. But, I know that you have your brand right from the water bottles in your office to, the napkins that people will use to dry their hands to,
Right.
How did that, is that part of the experience? And
yeah, that is part of the experience. We really work hard at finding a way to connect our brand with people as soon as they call. We used to have a very long-winded hello, Paul Lavoie Interior Design. Now we've shortened that, so it becomes much more I think much more branded in the way that we answer the phone. It's even Paul Lavoie. And I think people appreciate our conciseness. I think people appreciate the fact that they are coming to us for something that they trust, in a brand that is really, I think, effective is a really good way of looking at it. Once they get into our office, we really have worked hard at the fact that they are part of our brand. It's not just us and them, but we want to connect our brand to their house. So right when hopefully people can see this, right when you're greeted here, you get a little bottle of water.
Amazing.
With our logo all over it. That was a big step for us. We're right now, we're in the process of ordering hand sanitizer versions. So when we all do get back to work, I think it's going to be a nice touch to actually give people a little bottle of hand sanitizer that they can leave with, that's branded Paul Lavoie, which I think that's pretty cool. If you used a restroom at our bathroom, it would have a logo on it. Or sorry, a hand towel in the bathroom, it would have a logo on it.
Amazing.
It's just those little details, I think, that really reinforce what we do. And I think they really show clients that we're concerned about the details in your house too. If you have a fabric that leaves us, we would probably crop the fabric or identify in a book with a card like this that basically has our logo on it, and it would tell you what room it went in, what piece of furniture it went on. Anything that leaves our office should be branded in a way like this.
Right. And I understand speaking of fabric, you have your own curated fabric line.
Yeah.
Lovely.
That's been really exciting for us too, to really have a signature put to fabric. So now when we had a great client meeting a few weeks ago where we had a bunch of fabrics out on the table, and because we have something that's curated, essentially it looks like this, but it has Paul Lavoie written on it with no other markings. We had fabrics from a bunch of different companies, and the client looked at me and said, well, Paul, we wanted, you're doing our house, we want a Paul Lavoie house, so we're going to go with your fabrics. So it was already like a leg up with that. Like people, they were already excited with the fact that they were buying our brand, and they wanted to continue buying our brand. And for me, that was just kind of a full circle of all the hard work we've been doing.
Right.
Another good item is when you come to us, essentially, we have this really nice brochure that you get that talks about the experience. This is part of, it's not an email, it's like, it is a brochure that you get that essentially is more tactile. So in a way, whether you're doing something a little more glam or something more traditional, we target the experience pamphlet at you. So it's branded with basically, the Paul Lavoie logo on it, and essentially it talks about different reasons why you should hire us. So we want that first experience right when you walk in the door to be like a Paul Lavoie experience. We want it to be like a connected way that you can start to like realize what you're getting into. We always talk about it in a staff meeting here, or a group meeting. We want a client to feel like they're buying a Ferrari, not a junker. This should be like the feeling of when you're buying a new car that's amazing and you're coming to pick it up and you're so excited. So whether you're building a house or recovering a sofa or whatever it is, we want you to be happy about it.
Right.
So and we want that name, Paul Lavoie, to be easily translated to your friends or to people who walk into your house.
Now, I know that most of your business is referral.
Yes.
And I think that speaks obviously very highly to your brand, and people are hiring you for your look and the things that you do based on what they've seen. But I also know that, you're fairly adaptable, to your clients. I know that, they're buying you for the Paul Lavoie look, but you don't have the same level as rigidity as maybe some other designers would.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about that maybe a little bit.
Actually, that is kind of almost like organic metamorphosis for me. I realized that the fundamental parts of design that we execute are executable in a modern house or a traditional house or a transitional house. We have, and I love it, we have the ability here to basically switch pages. Right. So, and that's why we have different branding for somebody who wants to do something more modern versus somebody who wants to do something more traditional. I personally love the challenge of just like absolutely jumping ship. And, we've done everything from a French chateau to a really calm, like contemporary modern house.
Right. Speaking of which, I'm going to go and share some of those lovely photos of when you took another little part of your office there. Where
this is a little corner of our office where we call reinforcement corner. So when a client comes and we've been in a magazine, the first thing we do is we have a photo of our feature blown up on a piece of foam core. So that essentially every magazine we have is like a small poster in our office. So I think that really helps for a client to see all the things that we've accomplished. So I think that kind of ignites them into feeling like they could have a house in a magazine, and because they're in such good hands that we could really get them excited about what they're up to.
Right. Now you spoke about, we were talking about the, giving them the Paul Lavoie experience and aesthetic, but also being true to who your clients are. So you had given us a couple of different versions of what you do and how you put your signature and yet still stay true to the client. So this is a modern home. This is lovely. Is this
Isn't it lovely? This is a client who were empty nesters who came from a very traditional house and really wanted something special. So essentially, I think we gave it to them. So she always talked about bling and how much she loved it. He always talked about having a really modern house. So I think we kind of married the two together. So it's like a blingy modern house, which is super fun. This is the dining room where we combined 8 ceiling light fixtures together to make one.
Wow.
It's so cool, and actually it's such a simple thing, but it's almost more like a ceiling installation than just a simple light fixture over the table.
Right. Beautiful. This is the living area of the same home.
Yeah, this is like a conservatory that overlooks a green space. So we can see in this how we provided like different textures to really get that whole kind of sexy, tactile, modern contemporariness going. I think that this client was super happy because we really listened to them.
Right.
And I think in the end, we really got what they wanted. And I think our brand really is well demonstrated here. This house, we actually were up for an International Design Award in London.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, the kitchen's amazing. This is one of those situations where the island is so big that we were going to have themes. So we thought, well, why don't we embrace those themes? And we actually switched materials so that we had a little mixture of things. And the island is it's pretty cool. The floors are porcelain, so they're easy to maintain. And again, I think we combined three or four light fixtures to appear to be one in the kitchen, which is really nice.
Wow, beautiful. And
this is the same house. So again, she wanted something more glamorous feeling, and I think this has like that modern glamour to it. We've kind of combined some soft textures and some cool lighting to really kind of reinforce the detail part of it.
beautiful.
It's beautiful. Very lucky people, and we're also lucky enough to have clients that are calling us. I will say that's half of it. Anytime we've been slow, I've said to people here, well, it's not because we're not good. It's just because we just haven't had the right people call us. And
right. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because I actually want to talk about that. And
yeah.
I think it's really important. I think it's a question that many designers have where, you know, a lot of people say, how do I find customers? And I think by building the brand the way you've built it, customers find you. And I think that's the difference, right? That's the key.
Well, and I would say patience. Patience finds customers just by continuing what you're doing, just absolutely being steadfast and really, really focused on your brand. Like, you really want any opportunity you can get to make sure that your existing customers understand who you are and don't lose those opportunities. It's like the opening night of a restaurant where you get to go, or the first time at a restaurant where you get to go and you've had a bad experience. We want to correct that experience. We want to not even get in the situation where we're correcting it. We want you to come in the door, the music's right, you get, I think it's actually lit here too, like for a first time experience, you would also get like a candle.
Oh.
Before I burn myself. Yeah, you get a candle that's branded. This is Lavoie on it, kind of as a welcome of kind of engaging us. I think anytime we've been slower, you really have to look at yourself. It's not because you're a bad designer or that you don't provide a good product. It's just a slow time. You just really have to hunker down, and it's a slow time. And I think anyone who's really committed to interior design and loving creating spaces and working with people, you'll get busier again. It just will.
Now,
use any slow time you can to make your samples more beautiful, to use branding in a way that is more reinforceable, so when people do call, they understand what they're getting.
Right. And now I had shared actually a couple of weeks ago on a webinar that we did, one of your Instagram posts, and I thought it was very, very clever and really just a really good call. You had put out a piece introducing or reintroducing yourself and your team, and you had said that you would be sharing some of the, I think, the proceeds to any new jobs that you had with some charities, some local charities, and I thought
Yeah.
that was really amazing. Can you talk a little bit about that? How that came?
Well, you know, I think we've realized that through all of this, you have to adapt yourself a little bit till it comes back, and it is going to come back. We are going to have better jobs and more connection with people. It's just a matter of time. But until then, we did a little bit of social media / mass email to all our clients saying, we're here. We're going to donate our proceeds to a COVID charity. If you send us pictures of your house, a corner of your house, you want to redo your sofa, we're going to take our time and give that to COVID. And just to kind of, again, to re-engage people, to keep people engaged, to let them know that our brand is here. And our success has been amazing. I will say that we've basically taken it from, you know, send us a corner of your house and maybe you need a paint color or something. We've probably had, I'd say 10 to 15 good kind of emails from clients saying, wow, when this is over, I really want to do this. I'm tired of looking at this room. So
Right.
Thanks for engaging us. But till then, we're going to say, why don't we start on this? I've had a client that moved, 2 clients that moved abroad who were part of our mass email that just basically connected with me and said, wow, your experience was so good when we worked with you. Could we reconnect with you? Can I send you pictures of my apartment in New York? Can I try and make this online design thing work? And it's actually been super fun. It's been challenging for our staff to do something that is completely without seeing, but we've actually bonded as a group here through emails and Zooms just to see how everybody else would solve these design problems that have been asked of us.
I think that's amazing, first of all, and I really wanted everyone today to hear that in terms of how you've adapted your business in the interim, but also how you've kind of had this steadfast attitude to say, let's not panic. Let's not change our brand and ultimately change who we are and hit the panic button, because it will come. And, you know, I think we've had lots of designers asking us, well, you know, what should we do? Should we, you know, discount our services? And, you know, how do I measure a customer's window online and so on? And I mean, I guess there are ways of doing that. But, you know, to change the whole business model would really kind of sacrifice the brand, I would think.
Yeah, that is definitely, not where we're coming from. Our business model will always be our business model. The brand is the brand. I think, you know, we're designers. This is our time to be creative. Like, we are creative people to start with. If there's a way to do something that's online, that, you know, I had a great FaceTime with the client in New York, measuring her foyer, and we had some laughs. I'm like, okay, now take the tape measure and hold it here and hold it here. And, I think if you make it fun for people,
Right.
and again, an experience for people that's about them, I think that, you know, they're kind enough to reach out to us right now. We want to make it, we want to make it great. Yeah.
No.
I keep saying that, but that really is what we're all about.
Right.
And I see so many people building a house who come in here before our experience, oh my God, building a house is the worst thing in the world, and it's awful, and we're losing our mind. And I always start the conversation like, we're going to make this amazing. Like, I'm so happy for you. You're spending probably the most you'll ever spend in your whole life on one purchase. Right. So let's make this like a shopping experience that we all want to get behind. Let's make this comfortable, and let's make this easy. Clients aren't always easy, but I think if you could trick yourself into thinking that right. They are, it kind of runs with it.
Right. I mean, you said something a little bit earlier about, we are creative people by nature. And so, this is the time to really get creative. And I think that's kind of the biggest message of all, is that, don't think about the small little things. Don't think, how am I going to, recover that chair or get in a house to measure? Think up here, think at, 60,000 feet, and come up with a great idea, and then figure out
how
to get there.
I also think the little bit that we've seen, because our campaign, our COVID campaign is a little bit new, it has led to something too. It has led to, like you were talking about recovering a chair, but it has led to a further discussion. Like, it has led to something that is, once we get up and running again, we're going to have you over. And we want to do this. I think even that campaign we're starting is the bigger umbrella that you're talking about. Think of life past COVID, because there is going to be a life past COVID. And, and people like nice things. We're all really lucky. We're all lucky to be in an industry where, people eventually will turn to us. People want to be comfortable at home. People want to entertain. People are itching to entertain now. We're dying to spend time together.
Right. And I'm just going to share your last little bit here, because I think
sure.
This is so beautiful as well. This is that gorgeous, we come to the traditional home here. And
so this is a really great example of us switching pages. So I don't think you could have two more different homes than the last one and this one. This is a client who wants to build a recreational property on a lake and wants it to feel like they're in Lake Como, and like in Italy. They want it not to be like a cottage or a cabin, or they're not casual people, I'll just say that. They want it to feel like they're in a chateau that is centuries old, and it's overlooking this amazing lake.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so that previous picture was a reflecting pool that kind of is in the middle of the house. So there's actually a pair of these. So when you stand in the middle of the house, you feel like there's water on to your left and to your right, and of course the lake in front of you. So this fountain feeds these reflecting pools that are constantly going.
Oh, stunning.
It's pretty cool. I actually got to design this house from the bottom up too. So I actually got to create a lot of the architecture of this house. This is one of the guest rooms. So their experience in this house was really about spending time with their children who had gotten older, but their grandchildren. So they were going to use this house essentially in the summer months. So they wanted to fill it like a hotel, so that their kids felt like they had their own suite. There was room for their kids in it. They have a very large family and growing. So they really wanted to have almost like a hotel experience of their own. So it's an amazing project. Yeah. This is the kitchen. So essentially, again, traditionalist, much different than the last client. This house is really intended to be something that is soft, casually elegant, and again, a family experience. I wish I had a kitchen like that. I know I rarely have had a client say, "I'm not afraid of the word hotel." That itself is a new experience. So it's that, yeah. So this is one of the grand rooms when you walk in, And so this is full of people. This is full of her family, his family. These are strangely people that really don't entertain that much other than their own family, but they wanted this. I think growing up, this is the experience that they wanted. Their experience was to have like a European house. So I think it looks great.
Gorgeous. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Paul, I'm going to open it up to see if anybody has any questions.
Oh,
So
sure.
if there are any questions from anybody today, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. But in the meantime, what message or what advice, I guess, would you have for the people joining us today in terms of, building a brand and then also kind of managing through these times?
Finding your way to find detail. That I think that's what branding is all about. Finding that way to connect with your client in a way that they understand how wonderful their experience is going to be. And really, in the end, what a great designer you are. I think branding is reinforcement. Branding for a client is really realizing that they're with a winning team, like that they really are with people that understand the whole thing. They understand the whole picture, and they understand what you as a client want. I know even when we have a client meeting, that's a new client meeting, we have in different conference rooms, we have television screens up. On those television screens where we show their drawings, we always start with welcome Paul Lavoie Interior Design, with a really nice pictorial of how we want their house to feel, and then kind of the address of their house or the name of their house on it, so it feels like it's a personalized experience. Any kind of way to kind of connect those dots has been super successful for me. The reaction has been terrific. I didn't show this earlier. Even when you leave with samples, you leave with a Paul Lavoie bag. So that I was at our local grocery store, and there's someone carrying one, getting the groceries. So this is the kind of branding that just keeps going and going and going, which is amazing.
Right.
It's always fun to kind of think of a new way to do it too. Like any kind of connections we can make with clients like that, we really are excited about.
I have a question here for you.
Sure.
One of the questions here is, do you partner with your vendors? Do you partner with your vendors specifically? Like, do you have ones that you use over and over and over again, or do you use
I just think by nature, you have a comfort level with people, so that that comfort level means history and loyalty. So I'd say the answer to that question is yes. We're always up for new vendors, though. We really, our door is open for people who want to give us a great product and help us service our client the best way we know how.
Right.
Historically, people that I've built a loyalty with, just like your clients are building a loyalty with you, those are the people that we really work hard to maintain that loyalty and make sure that they feel like they're part of the Paul Lavoie family.
Right, right. And I think, I guess if you're really watching your brand and paying attention to your brand and being really strict, you really want to partner with people who are going to help you with that.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. I think today's discussion, for me, we were talking about branding and presenting one image. I think the way you kind of presented was interesting, because we aren't just one image here. Like, our brand is something that could be very modern, but it could be a French chateau.
right.
So that for me has always been like a difficult kind of march. That I think I had a client to my house who had a more modern taste. I had a client to my house that was very traditional, and she walked in. She said, "Paul, I just didn't expect this." And I said, "Well, what did you expect?" And she said, "I expected it to look like my house." And I said to her, "Well, then I've done my job." because your house should be your house and my house should be my house. And I think at that point, I really had done my job because I listened to what she wanted, and it was my taste in her style. So
Right.
it was really interesting.
That's actually very well put. I have another question here for you. What was your process in building your office team to ensure your brand remains strong and true? Oh, good question.
That is a good question. Building our office team, you know, that's probably harder than getting a client for me. You know, we really have worked hard at finding people that understand who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to communicate. And then you have to find people that actually understand interior design, right? It's like it's a marriage of things. So it really is, that is a hard thing. It's really difficult to find people that understand the whole picture of Paul Lavoie. Like it really is,
like
it's hard.
Yeah, it's almost like when you said be patient in finding customers. It would almost be the same for finding people to work for the Paul Lavoie brand, I would imagine. Be patient.
It is. And I think a lot of people think it's going to be kind of like, you know, I think we're known for having a lot of clients and we've been lucky, but I think a lot of people think it's going to be easy when they first start working here. And I as a person who leads the team, we're demanding. We want to make sure that the first person that's being serviced is the person that's calling us.
Right.
So we have some expectations if everybody works on our team, just even how fast you reply to an email or a phone call. Everything needs to be kind of run in a certain way. I once had a client who said to me, Paul, the mark of a good designer is anyone who can design. The mark of a great designer is anyone who knows how to design, but to fix a bad situation. So that itself is a challenge to everyone I work with. It's like you know, when something goes bad, and it's going to go bad, something eventually will happen. How you deal with it, I think that also is what is reflected in your brand. How you are able to step up to the situation and resolve it is all about the integrity of your brand. It's like when you go to Nordstrom and they return anything. I'm not saying we would return everything, but there's a feeling like, right, they've got my back, they've got this covered.
Right. I have another question. This one's from Pam. How have you been connecting your brand to clients during online design consultations?
Well, the first thing that happens when we've been approached by a client is that there's a secondary piece of information that goes out talking about what we're doing and how we're doing it. Our discussion for this is a little bit fluid too, because you know, the idea came about so fast and we've been trying to run with it a bit. So I would say that is organically changing. What's happening is that there's an initial kind of branding piece of information that goes out, and then there's more of a personal connection that happens back to the people that work here. So I think that's kind of a two-stage question, because one is, here's what you get for the COVID part, but we're still here. So we want to connect the COVID part with the person who still wants to have their job here and wants to basically provide you with a great service when this is all over with.
Right, right. I have another question here about how you are able to get published. I guess
that is a good question. Oh wow. You know, I think we've been less diligent about it lately. It's all about photographs. It's all about photographs or creating a presentation of what you have going and just being relentless about sending them out. Just really, that's your job. No one's going to find you. Whether it's even on social media or having a connection with making a connection with somebody who runs a magazine, I would say just keep at it. I've been lucky enough to be published in Architectural Digest, which you would think would be probably one of the harder magazines to get into. My initial interaction with them was probably the easiest. I literally sent them some photos in an envelope with a note. No explanation, kind of like some before and after photos. And within a week, they had called me back saying I wanted to put it in. The whole interview process with them was the same. I think you just have to really, you just have to be a little bit tenacious about it. Again, that's you. Those pictures are you. So no one is going to come call in for you. You need to be the steward of who you are and what your brand is. Right. So I think that is so important that you just keep at it. I'm also lucky enough to have had really good relationships with certain magazines, even locally, that are looking for something different. And I think at Paul Lavoie, we really give you something different too. I think we give you something that's not just a white box or like a simple minimalistic kind of look. We give you something that is your look. So I think the personality of the person or the people who live in the house really is reflected in the house. And I think that shows in the photographs. So I think magazines aren't looking for a pretty living room anymore. They're looking for the personality behind the living room. They want to know how it got there. They want to know the little bit of the story. You know, I've had some really beautiful homes that I can't get anyone to publish, partly because the client doesn't want to be a participant, or they don't even want to tell the story of it. They just want the story to strictly be about, you know, the interior design part. That's not enough anymore.
It's true. I have one final question here for you, and that is, you know, you're the keeper of your brand. Do you have your hands in all aspects of the business in terms of watching every check that goes out and you know, every drawing that's done and so on? How do you manage all of that?
That is a really good question. Fortunately, I work with my husband, so he's our accountant. So that part of our business, I'm super lucky with. So essentially, the financial nuts and bolts, I've been fortunate enough not to have a daily kind of connection with. Most drawings I look at, most drawings that leave here, I take a red pen to. I'm so confident with so much of our team that even when I evaluate a lot of the drawings, that we're pretty spot on for what our message is. And I think most importantly, the word you used was keeper. I think the right word for me is like steward, because I'm hoping that, you know, my brand is strong enough that there's people working with me right now that will continue my brand. Right. That I am starting a brand that I'm hoping that someday there's people that are on our team will keep reinforcing that brand. And I think that is a really important and a whole different discussion about the older we get and
for next time.
Interior design and retirement. But you know, I think if you create something great enough, then that brand will continue. So back to the question, it's hard to watch every detail that goes out. There's also 10 designers here in the end. So, you know, some of them, I will say this, have their own clients I've never even met. So some of them have come to the umbrella, but I've never met them. They are hiring someone here under my umbrella, which is my dream. Yeah.
Right. Well, oh, what a great 45 minutes. Thank you so much. That was so enjoyable and
really fun.
Very helpful to all that have joined us today. And I would encourage you all to go and give Paul Lavoie a follow, because his Instagram is amazing and drool-worthy for sure. So please do that. And thanks for joining us today, everyone. And Paul, a special thank you to you. Be well. And
thank you.
And when I'm able to travel again, I will be sure to stop in and see the new place.
If anyone's around, they're welcome to stop in and see it. So, yeah,
Wonderful.
thank you. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Thanks, Paul. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.